Welcome into Saturday Locks, your home for college football picks of the week. My name is Rajiv. Thanks for joining us. The season has started off really, really nicely. 7-1 in 2 weeks, 87.5%. This video is on a new channel called Saturday Locks. If you're wondering, how do we know you're 7-1 if this is a new channel, check out my Wisconsin Badger podcast, The Bucky Report. The first two videos from the first 2 weeks of college football are on there. We're going to go over all those picks today real quick with you and then give you 4 more picks of the week. Quick things about the channel. I don't really pick money line favorites, so I'm always picking against the spread and over and unders. I think it's more fun that way. Obviously, it's a more 50-50 chance, but it makes the record that much more impressive, which is nice. And it's a great way to start the season off making some money. If you're into this betting stuff, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Thank you for joining us on the new channel, Saturday Locks. All right, let's get right into it here. Here are the picks for the first 2 weeks. The first week, 4-0, which was awesome. Last week, I still feel like Duke was the right bet. They gave away so much in that game, just ridiculous plays, turnovers, punts that turned into first downs for Illinois. Illinois is the better team, no doubt. Kudos to them. They played a fantastic game. I'm not going to take anything away from what Illinois did. But at the end of the day, I still think it was the right bet. However, you're going to lose some, but that's the only loss of last week. Kennesaw State at Indiana. I said that everybody was betting on Kennesaw State, sort of looking past what Indiana can do and focus on what they did do in week 1, which of course I picked Old Dominion to cover, which they did. Indiana covered last week. Kentucky also covered. Bit of a backdoor cover there late, but they got it done against Ole Miss. They didn't win the game, but they did cover. And then UNLV, that was one of my strongest picks I had of the week. Just a dominant performance against UCLA, a team that you're going to hear about a little bit tonight. All right, so we've got 4 picks this week. Last week, we took a lot of dogs, home dogs. This week, we're taking some favorites, okay? I think it's really easy to look at recency bias when it comes to gambling stuff, right? You're just very easy to react. Lines are easy to react. Sometimes it's hard to read those lines and figure out, are they just bad lines? Are they fishy? But ultimately, what happens the week before generally tends to affect how people feel about the following week. So that is sort of the theme for our pick. So let's get into pick number 1. Now, I normally do, the show's called Saturday Locks. Almost all the games are for Saturday. I said all the games would be for Saturday, but there's a Friday night game that I simply could not resist on taking. It's my Friday special, New Mexico at UCLA. Now, just talked about UCLA. They got pummeled by Utah in week 1. Then they came to Vegas and they got beat by UNLV in week 2. They don't really look that great. Their offense has struggled. They brought in the flashy quarterback from Tennessee and Nico Imaleava. So you think, okay, they're going to be good, but they're really not. They're probably the worst team in the Big Ten. But let me tell you something, New Mexico's not good either. They did put up a pretty good fight against Michigan. They lost 34-17. So that's something. But they're honestly expected to be a 3 or 4 win team. They've had a lot of turnovers. They're going to play a mistake-filled game. And here's the ultimate reason. You've heard me say it before. I'm going to say it again. 86% of public money is currently sitting with New Mexico. Why? Because no one believes in UCLA. Why should they, right? They absolutely got smoked. They're not playing very well. And they probably should, this game should be closer in theory, right? I think this is a bit of a fishy line. I think that, the casinos and they think it's going to be a bit bigger here. I just feel like the baiting bet, just, get New Mexico, bet on New Mexico. This is an obvious bet. You should take New Mexico. There's no way UCLA is going to win by more than 2 touchdowns. I think they do. I'm taking UCLA and I'm laying the 15.5. This is a Friday special though. This game is on Friday night. It is not a Saturday lock, but I already took it. And I recommend you take it. That's one of my actually that's probably my favorite game of the week. Some of these other ones are a little tough. As I said, I don't just pick money line favorites, but I do want to make it a little difficult. UCLA minus 15.5. I'm going to go with that. Okay, next one up. Big matchup in the ACC. Clemson at Georgia Tech. I'm taking Clemson -3. Again, recency bias. What happened last week? What happened 2 weeks ago, right? So Clemson got beat by LSU. Then they go and struggle. They were down 16-0 to Troy. They come back and they score plenty of points. They win, I think, 27-16. And of course, everyone is thinking, wow, geez, Clemson's really not that good. This line opened up much bigger than this. It's come down a little bit. A lot of bets on Georgia Tech, lot of bets on Georgia Tech. However, I will admit, more public money is actually sitting with Clemson on this one. And you would think, well, you don't like to go against public money. I don't generally, but I really feel strongly about this game. I think Clemson's a lot better than Georgia Tech. And a lot of people are picking this as an upset. Clemson's going to lose again. I don't think Clemson's going to lose the second game right now. They do have some injuries. I think that's really important to bring up. Wide receiver Antonio Williams is listed as questionable. Left tackle Tristan Lee is questionable. Wide receiver Juju Preston is out along with several other people. They do have injuries. That is a problem. And on the other side, Haynes King is available for Georgia Tech. So there's that. Can Clemson stop the Georgia Tech run? I think that's the question mark. I think they can. I mean, at the end of the day, this is still a Dabo Swinney team that at the beginning of the season had real, they were a sexy pick to potentially go to the playoff, a sexy pick to win the national championship. They were ranked 4th in the country. Now they're 12th, certainly because of their loss in week 1 and their performance, the not so great performance in week 2. This is an ACC game. I think they're going to be ready to play. I think Clemson gets this done. Quarterback Cade Klubnik, he's solid. Again, the weapons are not necessarily going to be there. And if Antonio Williams doesn't play, I am a little more concerned about this game. But I'm taking Clemson -3 at Georgia Tech because people just don't seem to think that it's going to happen. Again, public money does slightly favor Clemson in this game. There's still a lot of bets on Georgia Tech, but I like this game, and I'm not sure why, but I just do. And hopefully the fact that I'm having a pretty good winning record just kind of continues a little bit into this week. Okay, let's go to an over-under. I always will build these in a little bit. I had one in week 1, not every week, just depends on what I like. Ohio at number 1 ranked Ohio State. I think this is a bit low here, over 49.5. So the prevailing thought, of course, is that, Ohio is not a bad team. They're certainly not as bad as Grambling, the team that Ohio State played last week, and they absolutely thrashed them by like 70 points. Ohio put up 31 points in a game against Rutgers. They lost 34-31, and then they beat West Virginia 17-10. They're not a bad team. They're not a bad MAC team at all. Ohio State tends to crush these guys, and I think they will again. If you tell me Ohio State's going to score 40 points in this game, I would say that's a lock. I just don't really see a situation where Ohio State doesn't score 40 points. Now, Ohio might, try to slow the game down. Their running game might be okay. But at the end of the day, Julian Sayin, Jeremiah Smith, Carnell Tate, they're absolutely loaded. And I just feel like they're on a mission right now, and they're going to score a lot of points. I'm not saying they're going to score 70. I think they're going to score 40, 43. But I think Ohio scores. They're not a bad team. Again, they put up 31 points on Rutgers. And here, of course, is the kicker. 98% of public money is sitting on the under in this game. I like going where the 2% is almost every single time. Now, there are a lot of games that have all the public money going one way, especially in the over and unders. A lot of unders have that. I don't take obviously all those, but it's a data point that I use to kind of find some edges. But again, this is one of my picks I really like. I think Ohio State scores a lot of points. They might score over 50 themselves. So I'm happily going to take the over 49.5 in Ohio at Ohio State. Okay, last up, and this is an interesting one. Number 18, South Florida travels to 5th ranked Miami. Seriously sexy pick here, South Florida. Everybody's talking about South Florida, and rightfully so, right? They've beaten 2 ranked teams. They beat Boise State in week 1. They upset Florida in week 2, 18-16. Their quarterback, Byron Brown, is a dual threat quarterback who's really played well, hasn't really turned the ball over, and all of a sudden he's getting Heisman buzz, because why wouldn't he? He's on the national stage. He's made a lot of waves. Miami has had a good start to their season. Obviously, last week they didn't really play anybody, but of course they beat Notre Dame in week 1, which was also one of my picks. I think Miami's a pretty good team. They almost made the playoffs last year, And I think they are positioning themselves really well to be a finalist this year. Would surprise me one bit if this team was in the Final Four, if you will, whatever they're calling that now. But of college football, I think they can advance deep into the playoff. I really like this team. And as I've said on the very first show that I did about Miami, that I feel like people just forget is they have Carson Beck. Right. Carson Beck played at Georgia and threw almost 4,000 yards 2 years in a row. Like, he's a real quarterback, and they're a real threat with Carson Beck. The line is big, 17.5, which is why, of course, I like it. You look at this line and you think, geez, South Florida. I mean, they've had a fantastic run of games here. They're shocking the world. There's no way Miami wins by 17.5 points. I'm here to tell you that I think they can. And 80% of people are putting their money on, you guessed it, South Florida, which means I'm going to go the other way. This line is baiting you to take South Florida. So when I see lines like this, I feel like, you know what? People know something I don't know. The people that make a lot of money, that accept a lot of sports bets, those guys that set these lines, the handicappers. I'm going to go Miami at home, another big win. And again, but also, listen, no one is, so South Florida is surprising no one right now. You know, Miami is putting all their efforts into beating their, fellow South Florida rivals, right? I mean, I feel like this is going to be a game they really want to win. Miami minus 17.5. All right, so let's go through those 4 picks once again. Our Friday special, New Mexico at UCLA. I'm taking UCLA laying the 15.5 points. Clemson on the road at Georgia Tech. I'm taking Clemson -3. They'll feel like they're just a bit sort of overlooked at this point. Ohio at Ohio State, taking the over 49.5. I feel like that's going to hit pretty comfortably. And last but not least, South Florida at Miami. I'm laying the 17.5 points. Again, this video is appearing on a brand new channel called Saturday Locks. The first 2 videos are on the Bucky Report channel. You can go check those out there. If you want to check my first couple picks, you can also follow me on X at Rajiv Badgers. All my picks are up there as well. This video comes out first, though. I'll post something on Saturday morning about those picks, or kind of details on how they're going so far. But hopefully we can keep this 87.5% run rolling. I would love to have that. I place all these bets that I'm sharing with you today on an app here in Las Vegas, which is where I live. And I usually parlay them together as well. I won that first week. Didn't hit the parlay last week, of course, because that Duke game killed me. But it was still a good week. Still 7-1 against the spread, and with some over and unders built in there. Thank you again for joining us. And again, hit the subscribe button, like button if you're into this kind of stuff. And we will talk again next week.